Welcome back. The wave of protest against illegal mining on Gauteng's West Rand continues. Krugersdorp residents again joined the protests at the action this morning. They claim illegal immigrants are responsible for violent crime in their area. The protest follows the rape of 8 women at an abandoned mine dump in West Village almost 2 weeks ago. Krugersdorp community returned to the streets today calling for illegal miners to be removed. Last Friday, they also shut down the area, removing pupils from schools. Today, shacks and equipment belonging to Zamazamas were damaged and some burned. Demonstrations began last Thursday with the Kagiso community shutting down the area. Almost 2 weeks since the rape of 8 women at an abandoned mine in the West Rand, police have yet to link anyone to the crime. It is believed that the women, who were part of a production team recording a music video, were ambushed and gang raped in West Village. The suspects are alleged to have been illegal miners who operate in the derelict shafts. The incident sparked outrage, with protest action erupting in the community. Police led mass sting operations with 80 people arrested. All face charges of being in the country without proper documentation. However, police have still not found the 20 suspects linked to this crime. They are still awaiting DNA results, and ID parade is yet to be conducted. The suspects are expected to return to the Krugersdorp Magistrates Court tomorrow. For more, my colleague Hasina Gori has been tracking this story since last week, and she joins me in studio. Hasina, thank you so much for joining us on Point. Give us the latest with regards to this. Has there been any new developments?
So what we've seen in the protest specifically is that we've seen it mushroom throughout different communities. It started last week with Mogale City calling for a shutdown on Wednesday. Thursday, we saw that happening in Kagiso. What we've seen with a lot of the communities is similar concerns, similar issues that they're raising, that criminality has been on a rise. They've gone to police. They've identified some of the hotspots. They've been tracking this. They've been going to police, but there's been nothing being done. They believe that those that are responsible for this criminality are illegal miners that are operating in this area. They've described to us quite horrendous, experiences. A woman that was raped in her car, people saying that their homes were invaded at some point. These are just some of the kind of issues we've heard go out, and they're saying police have not done enough. Today we saw once again, now in Krugersdorp, also in Kagiso, in one of the areas we've seen protests continue, not as eruptive as we saw on a Thursday, but homes they're going into, and what's quite concerning as well on the other side is whether or not this is just vigilante at some point, whether it's also criminality, because they haven't identified yet whether these are illegal miners or also just illegally documented people. And that is a concern, that homes are being damaged, homes are being burnt. So far, those that are being found, those illegal miners that are being found, are being handed over to police. I know specifically when we're in Mogale City, in Kagiso, the community leaders really asked for those that do find these illegal miners to hand them over to the police so that information can be sought on who they work for, the supply chain as well. So that what police can do is that curb that entire process and just individuals who are also part of just a bigger syndicate. Yes,
you talked about some houses being torched. Do you know if how they are being identified, these houses, and by whom the torching has been done?
So what we normally find is that community leaders would know people that either work in that area, because they live within these communities, and then either go into those homes and find whether or not there are certain specific equipments and tools that they believe identify someone as a Zamazama. So there was a small hammer in one of the places yesterday that were in Moshlakeng.
Just a small hammer?
A small little hammer, or a torch that was a headlight torch that would be used on a head. That was some of the things that were found, and then those homes were then torched. I do know there were some reports that they weren't even illegal miners, that they were gardeners. So it is concerned of who exactly is being targeted. And the information specifically in Kagiso, police took a task team of 5 members from the community, went with them, and they did find people in a specific area that the community did identify. So calls also for communities not to take their own vigilante on, but to bring that information and work together. Yes.
The president in Richmond today mentioned a lot about gender-based violence and how cases should be speedily resolved as well as harsher sentences. What's the latest with regards to the investigation of the 8 women that were raped last week?
So this is quite interesting, is that even though 80 people have been arrested so far, specifically it's almost 200 altogether in the last 10 days, we've yet to find one person linked to the case. I spoke with the Gauteng Provincial Police spokesperson this morning, and they have not yet had any update yet. There's no one that's been linked to that specific case. There was concerns around the DNA, testing being done. We do know there is a backlog, but the police minister had told us previously that they would hope within 7 days. We passed a 7-day mark for that turnaround for the DNA. It's yet to say whether or not the DNA was done, and no one has been linked to it as yet. Or even if the ID parade has been done, there are, things that need to be profiled as well. Those suspects had to be profiled as well. So far, no one has been even linked to that crime. We haven't heard yet of the production company that it was, being used. We don't even know which musician was being used.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of gaps with that specific case.
Yeah. Let's talk about the well-being of communities. I can imagine that most of them are quite apprehensive. They're worried when they need to sleep. They wonder what's going to happen, particularly those ones that are just females in their homes. And police had promised that there'll be more visibility. Have we been seeing that? What is the word from your contacts on the ground?
So what we've seen on the ground is operations by police, usually task teams that are made up of provincial police, specific TRT units, as well as the Hawks sometimes, that are going into what they believe are illegal mining syndicates. So going into the different operations and either demolishing those operations or rounding up those that they find in that area specifically. However, when it comes to visibility, we've only really seen police at the scenes of where protests is happening. We haven't heard anything yet specifically from communities of seeing now more police on the ground patrolling per se, but they have been doing these sting operations. We've been on them with several of the Gauteng Provincial Commissioner, as well as other members of the top brass, where they've gone into those communities specifically to curb that illegal mining that's being done.
Hasina Gori, thank you so much for the update on the story. Can't wait to see what happens tomorrow when those 80 suspects head to court. But thank you so much for bringing us an update on the story. That was my colleague Hasina Gori talking to us about the latest developments in the ongoing protests on the West Rand.